Hi, this is Shirak. Welcome again. Today I'm going to continue on my lessons with AngularJS powered ColdFusion. Specifically today I'm going to talk on the backend that I used it in my previous two lessons. I get a couple questions, what kind of services that I'm using and how is that working and how I created that one. I just want to mention that the one that it's been used so far for the previous applications it was just simple data access layer. There's nothing really fancy going on there. So today what I'm going to do, I'm going to just completely create a new CF art gallery. Today I'm going to focus on the services more than the AngularJS side. Because the way that I used it in my previous application, it's not really the recommended way that you have to do it, because that one is basically just a data access layer. There is no logic, there is no framework for that one. So today what I'm going to use one of the extensions that I built for ColdFusion Builder to scaffold the web services, to build the framework for me. So that's going to give me kind of a subcode separation, specifically between the data access layer and the logical, and also recently I added proxy to how to work with the proxies. So to do that, you need to install that in your ColdFusion Builder, and I will provide this extension in my blog, and also probably if I can put a link in the YouTube description so you can get it from there. Right now I have to do just import, and in case if you're gonna do your first time, you have to do plus to just and install it. In my case, because I have it already, I'm gonna just show you how to import it, and that's in my ColdFusion 10. And then C, and then the root. The name is ColdFusion Services Scaffolding. Go through the wizard. Next, then accept the agreement. Next, it's free, you can use it. CF10, that's the server, and finish. Import was successful. And if now this CF art gallery project, it's empty project, nothing in here, so you would notice the CFW, which is the ColdFusion Web Services. Click on the create framework. We'll go ahead and just scaffold you and give you kind of code separation. I will go through each one. Let's see, refresh, and here we go. So let's start with the first one, is the business entity. Business entity is your business model, or your objects that you're going to use throughout your web services. So far nothing in there. Then the data access layer. The data access layer, usually this is if you have any auto generation stuff, like for example this Adobe CFC generator. This one, the one that I have is still the beta, but I believe they have the version 1. You can use this one to generate a data access layer from your when you go to your database in here and choose the one that you want to create a data access layer. So this is going to go ahead and create the data access object and the gateway and so forth. And the reason now you see another one here called extended DAL, that's what it means. It extends from the DAL. Usually, let's say if you change any column name in your tables, you want to rerun your wizard again to create the data access layer. So this folder always will be overridden, so you don't need to do any changes in here. This is all needed to be by itself. But you can extend it, and you can overwrite the methods that's in here, or even create a new methods inside the extended. And then before I go to the interface, is kind of optional. It gives you the contract between your logical your logical service. Is the contract, the method that will be exposed. Right now I'm going to go direct to the logical, and the logical is wherever your logic is. So let's say you have any business rules, any validations, any sort of things you want to do for your services, and this is going to go here. So the user services in here, in this case, this is the scaffold. The framework will create it for you, just for that you feel the work, the sense of the how this thing is working. So the user will call the extended user service gateway, and then this one, if there is a data access layer, will extend from it. So let's take a look on the user extended. So this one basically has nothing in it, just here get full name, which basically is going to return full name, nothing. And if we go to the user services, in this case, we will notice there is another method, get full name, which you notice also that this method is instantiated at the top in the variable scope. So the variable is calling the get full name from this extended method. And then we have this proxy folder. The proxy folder is usually when you want to expose your service to another technology. Like, let's say you don't, this is not for a ColdFusion, you're not building this web services for a ColdFusion application. Let's say you want to build this for a .NET application or PHP or whatever. Sometimes you need to do specific changes for each one, and sometimes you don't need to expose your whole web service. You need to export a certain methods for your export. That's why you can create your own services in here, and proxy services that expose to the outside world. Remember, you have to make the type remote. So as you can see, the user services in the logical, they are all public, so you cannot expose it as a web services. Test folder here, which basically means all, like if you want to run any manual test. And I will show you today the other tool that I'm using for test, which is a VisualCFCTest. It's kind of a visualized tool of testing without writing or doing anything, without even creating. This is not a unit test, the one that we have in the MX unit. No, this is something else. This is like a quick test. You have everything set up. Like now you want to make sure that this get full name, if somebody triggered or called, it's going to work and it's going to return the word full name. I'm going to go through that. That one required another extension to install. Lastly is the CF Art Gallery Service Factory. This is my preferred way of representing a bunch of services. That's why I call it Service Factory. So let's say if this CF Art Gallery, you would have a lot of logical services in here. Artist services, let's say the art service, if we go by table, the media service, blah blah blah, and so forth. And exposing each one these methods is gonna have a headache. You're gonna have a headache in here. So that's why I came up with this service factory, which basically you return the whole service. In this case, if you take a look, that the method that in here, it says get user service. That means you want to get the whole user service in here, and that's why I'm returning here the interface for that service. And what I'm doing in here is basically checking is this variable user service as a simple value, then build the user first. That means this is the way. The reason I'm doing this right now, if it doesn't make sense, you could do it directly here at the pseudo code without even creating a function. But think about it this way: what if you instantiate the whole user service and save it in the application scope? So next time, when instead of using a variable .user service as application .user service, so it's not going to be a simple value because it's already whole stored. So you will skip this method. You don't need to call this method. Go directly and return the user service. Alright, so let's go ahead and test visually to see how this is gonna work. So as I said, we need to install another extension for ColdFusion Builder called VisualCFCTest, and that also will be available within my blog and also within the YouTube's description. Same way, I'm going to import that extension, and it's going to be in my ColdFusion 10, Fusion, and then deb root. It's called VisualCFCTest. And it's free, you can use it. Okay, so that one has been installed. They both are in version 1. Now, if I do right click on my, let's say you want to test this user service and make sure that these methods are working and it's really instantiating all these services. So, and here you can see now you have VisualCFCTest. Now, it's as a remote object, as a web services. This is going to create it as a component-based service, like the way you do create type component, and this one will treat it as a web services. Especially when you have a ORM based services, you need to test it with web services, not with a remote object. It's not going to work when it's a remote object. So let's do as a remote object now, and you can see I clicked on that user service in here, and now it tells me that's the CFC. It's within the project name CF Art Gallery. That's the CFC I'm testing. Now it found there's one method in here, get full name, which is basically that's the method name. If I can't click on that one. The user services one method in here, and you can see the blue is a public method. So each one has a different color in here. You can test the public and the remote methods and the package. I'm not sure the package, but you can test the public and the remote, and you cannot change. You cannot test the private and the and also if there is no access type defined. Excuse me. So let's click on the method name and says get invoke get full name. So in this case, if I click on that one, we got that. This is the method name called get full name. It was successful. That's why you see the green one and returns the full name. So to prove that this is working, we can go to the extended, the place that is returning the actual name. Let's change this. Let's change the fact that let's take a name in here. So we will say let's take a string name in the argument and return that, echo that name back to us. So it's going to be argument dot name. And we need to go to the user service too. Also, we need to pass string name, and we need to pass that name to the argument name. Okay, so let's run the test again. Argument miss. Oh, yeah. See, that's the where also it gives you the error message. So it tells me that the actual interface does not match your actual service, because the interface says that you are asking for an argument in here, but in this one there is no argument. This one kind of keeps the contract between your services, and you know whenever you do change in here, it's a strongly typed, you need to come back and change your interface too. So we need to say string name. Let's run that again. And here we go. Now let's click on get full name, and as you can see, the tool is already detected that there is an argument here, type of a string, and now you need you insert a value. Now remember, this is not required. Even if I click, it's gonna return type is void below the policy object. I've got colors have component. Okay, so anyway, it's successful. But the method, the call was successful because we didn't say this is a required. How you do that? How are you going to make that, you force that to be a required? First, let's put that in our interface. That's one. The second, I'm going to put that also in my service. And let's run that again. And you can see now the star shows up. This is a required. So when you click on it, actually you're going to get the JavaScript error, and it says it's required. So let's put the name Shirak Avakian. Click, and voila, you got the result back. So my service is working. So that's the unit. Of course, you can do more complex stuff if you have a two type of fields in here. Let's say I want to have another type in here called, now the type will be date of birth, for example. And if you want to make it required, maybe better. Just copying this to the interface too. And also copying it, I'm going to my extended. So let's build kind of a string in here. str equal to arguments that name birth is .dov, and then we will return the string. Let's test that again. And as you can see, even the tool smart enough to detect that this is this type is a date type, so we see that the date picker shows up. So drag a vacuum and let's pick a date and then insert. Passed in the date of your parameter. Okay, we probably did not pass it. Yeah, see, it says it's required and we did not pass it. So even it gives you the hint where the error is happening. So not necessarily the line code, but at least it gives you know how to find that error. So we'll say arguments. So guess now what let's say you want to do some logic. Because you are in the logic in here, you can build all your logic here. Means validation also. And then you make the call. Let's test that again. Here we're going to show you what my date birth date is. So alright, so that's for today, and I'm going to continue the next lesson talking about the services. I hope you enjoyed this one. Go ahead and grab and download the framework generator or the scaffolding for the web services. We're going to go more in depth in detail in the coming sessions. For example, how we're going to continue working with the service factory. Now, before I finish this, I really forgot to mention about the service factory. As I said, it just returns the whole object. So if we want to test that and see how it's going to look like when you do through the test, it's basically you're going to see the whole object coming back to you, and it tells you that's the object implements the iUser service. So you're going to see the method that's available inside that object. And in my next session, I will show you the benefit of having this service factory and how we gonna consume that service. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and thank you for watching.